So here we go. Last series of the day. Stardekk versus Frubblord. And we start on the new map. We start on Tannenberg. As Frubblord comes in from the right with the blue forces. Bringing us Gruppe Harteneck in Vanguard. While Stardekk brings in a Soviet tank division. Quite a bit more playtime on the Soviet tank division slightly again, since I guess the DT tank MG has been buffed. And also the M2A1 half-track with 800 rounds, quite a bit more useful as well. Not running out of ammo as quickly anymore, so cool to see that these see some playtime now again. Stardekk will try to get into the town up in the north. Both sides bringing up a lot of forces into the center. And Frubblord will put up a lot of Assaps MGs into the south and try to hold the front line with that. PTRs maybe a bit... Wow, okay, that's optimistic here. That makes it through, that would be quite hilarious. But nah, Panzergrenadiers will force it to unload. Artillerist also getting caught. A bit optimistic here by Stardekk in these pushes. 25mm AA coming up in the north. 1944 tank on the road. We have a lot of OBs. It's a lot of firepower here in Stardekk's formation. They only need to get line of sight now, as there's really only Assads MGs in both towns for Frubblord so far. Some ME410s in the skies, and then a lot of infantry in the center. Reiterjägers and MP44s, and Stoßtruppen with Molotovs and SMGs. On the other side, Tankodosanikis and Ognomachikis, but not quite in the same amount. Not quite the same numbers, so Frubblord most likely will win this if there's no bombardment or so coming in from Stardekk. I'm pretty sure the second tank guards tank corps has access to P2s, but I'm not 100%. Like, I can't confirm that 100%. Maybe Shed can, because I haven't played with the Soviet tank divisions for a while, because yeah, they were really not in the meta, and they're not my favorite divisions to play with in the begin with, so I didn't touch them too much, and I didn't see them in any of the casts. So yeah, maybe you can let me know if they have P2s, if you know about that. That would be quite nice of you. Whilst 1311 now is going on here for Stardekk. Frubblord bringing in the Harteneck, really pushing up the pressure now in the center. Stoßtruppen will get rid of the Molotovs. Tankers and Nikki already have fallen. Running in a bit disjointed here is Frubblord though. Stoßtruppen coming in before the Reiterjägers have arrived. And that leaves all the Stoßtruppen dead. And I don't think the Reiterjägers can just engage into the Ognomachikis now. So yeah, a bit of a misengagement here from Frubblord, allowing Stardekk with a smaller investment to maybe win the center here. I mean, Reiterjäger MP44 still will have some firepower, so some of these units still will die here. But I feel like they should be able to pin this down quickly enough that Frubblord has to run away. Yes. And Maxim here engaging versus Reiterjäger MP44s as well. MP44s at least are firing. The issue with Reiterjägers, both the MP44 and the normal version, is that they have 3 carabines, so you always have to be a bit careful of them, so that they don't engage onto 500 meters with just 2 carabines, because it's no damage output at all, basically. So, and you don't want to have them revealed that way, and you don't want to have them just using these 3 guns and not using anything else. So, if you can't be bothered microing them, you might as well just turn off the carabines for all the game, because you don't lose that much firepower, and you make sure that they engage in ranges where they actually can use all their stuff. Or you just have to micro around them and watch out for when they are in what position. Now, Tankodosanikis is coming in. Ognomachiki will join them as well. Pak 40 is in the south, moving forward, trying to get into position. The bombing run here was amazing. After messing up the first engagement, the bombing run of Frubblord did deal a lot of damage to all the infantry units of Stardekk. Only a single Tanko de Saniki did survive the whole affair. So leveled the playing field, like, literally. Again. Thank you to Nikis and Ognomachiki coming in here once more. Got ADP engaging onto the MP44 down here. Whilst the VK9 .01 coming in with some 20mm fire. Jagdpanzer 38T engaging here as well. Whilst the OB will try to hit the SMG over there. Automachiki and half-tracks holding the line down here for stardekk. But the 12-12 is still around. Stardekk getting a slight advantage in the early game by pushing in here. But now, as Frubblord takes the flags over here, Frubblord is the one on 13-11. Frubblord, obviously with Vanguard income, is supposed to be the bit more aggressive in the early game. But in general, the income advantages between Maverick and Vanguard are there, but they're not super decisive. So, especially with Vanguard getting a bit more in C phase again, there can be a bit of an ebb and flow, even throughout B phase and so on. So, you can still come back with Vanguard and push on later in C phase. But we will see how it goes. In general, you're supposed to put on pressure in A phase. And Frubblord is putting pressure on now. But really, the first slow strip engagement made it a bit tougher than it needed to be. Right there, Jaegers? Sitting around here, 50mm half-tracks. Coming in. And also Stardekk's infantry did engage pretty much on the same time there. Came in way bigger. Like it was not just Frubblord having a small mistake, it was also Stardekk with the really good timing. And the counter there. And the 25mm here is in a good spot as well. MP410 needs to be somewhat careful. T34 85s could be used maybe a bit more. Second one coming up. Also in the rear for Lord, a lot of cheap support tanks coming up. Form of Panzer 3Ns. They have a good heat shell, they have good rate of fire. AP shell not really capable of killing anything. Heat shell has the accuracy issue, but it's at least 35 and not just 30% accuracy. And the HE shell obviously is also great with 12 rounds per minute, so it can deal with infantry quite quickly. OB-25 trying its best to dealing with some T-34s. One of them seems to be nearly pinned down. Yes. Another one still firing freely though. Not quite sure if it's pinned down. No. Now it's pinned down. Second one. Lost line of sight actually. IL-2 gets the kill onto an MG42. Some bombing kills there for Stardekk. But the Tiger E has joined the battle. And the T-35 has to be somewhat careful there. Against the Tiger E. 1-star veterancy. 13-11 going on. Martyrs sitting around in the south. That's the T-34. Gets penetrated by the Jagdpanzer. And gets a crit in with the shooter killed. So should disengage, as the Jagdpanzer otherwise has enough time to get a second penetration in, and it does so. As Stardekk is a bit slow on the reaction there. What's the OB-25? Will try to kill the T-34 76. And Frubblord with a good push now in the center. After the first slip up. Now better in the engagements. Thank you to Sanikis there getting pushed back, and the Pak 40 here is nasty. Something is needed to try to deal with that. ISU, though, will deal a lot of damage as well. ISU 152 has a pretty big caliber to deal with something like an EGMG. EGMG, though, surviving 1 hit point for now. IS2, you will need a second shot to get the final blow there, but it will get that second shot. MG42 not quite quick enough in disengaging. Tank 40 has been found by Stardekk. And IL-2 is on the way for another bombing kill there. And the Panzer 3N swarm is overrunning the CIS-2. CIS-2 would have been pretty dangerous for the Tiger, but now that it's down, Tiger is the biggest beast on the battlefield and doesn't have many predators that are scary for it. So Stardekk has to be careful about that. In the south, not much action going on. Both sides pretty fine with the stalemate down there. But Pak 40 has been killed off. ISU has a bit more room. The Tanker Syndicus could maybe push forward again as well. But there's nothing to deal with these two T-34s, and they can be pretty nasty here maybe. Tanker Syndicus might unload exactly on top of it. Or maybe not. I guess they didn't have an unload order. Bit unfortunate, though I guess they wouldn't have done much even if they would have had the unload order. HE-111 coming in once more with orbital bombardment. Really heavy bombs, killing off another T-3045, and now the Tiger for sure doesn't have anything that can beat it. And stardekk's push in the north now gets overwhelmed. And that's really a problem for the red side. When you invest into here, your reinforcement roads can be cut off and you can't really retreat because behind you there's only open ground. So if you try to get in there, you will have trouble. Ooh, that was a kill that you don't see every day. Jagdpanzer got killed by a PTRS there, showing you the power of Soviet anti-tank rifles. Getting in there with some side shots against the Jagdpanzers. They can also even do that against Panthers. They have a penetration chance against Panther side armor as well. We had that in the finals of League. PTRS really can be nasty if you don't check out for them. SDKFZ with a flak feeling in the rear here, and L2 is a bit slow, so the flak feeling might have a chance of getting the kill there. Has to reload again, but deals quite a bit of damage now. The L2 in a bit of a scary position. Seems to get out though. And one thing that stardekk has that can one-shot the Tiger if it penetrates are the two-star veterancy ISUs. The 45 also coming around, and obviously without the Jagdpanzer, the other tanks up here outside of the Tiger can be picked off by that as well if you micro it correctly. So there is still hope for stardekk, obviously, especially as we are now in B phase and stardekk has the higher income now, has the Maverick income versus Frubblord's Vanguard. But after the AA has fallen, the ME410 now has a clean sky, and that's pretty brutal, losing the T-3045 instantly to that ME410 anti-tank plane. Quite rough kill there. At least the two T-34s have been dealt with here though. Good engagement there for stardekk in that regard. Lost a couple more Tango Sonikis though. And we also have a Morse artillery gun now firing onto infantry positions of stardekk. You can't keep your infantry around here for too long. And some AA is needed. 37mm is coming up. Try to keep the ME410 at bay. Tiger though, trying to sneak upon the T-34-76. And the second Tiger has hit the battlefield as well. Big boys are now around since they got buffed. Higher veterancy. Hartranek in general profiting from the buffs quite heavily. Panzer Grenadiers, for example, with the MG42s have more ammo. Flak Feelings does more damage. You have two cards of Tigers that now have better availability. So, and it already got some slight buffs in the previous patch, so Hartranek for sure more playable than it had been before. And is a solid pick, I guess, on some maps after the ban phase. After 5 or 6 bans, it's for sure has some power. M2 over here gets killed. Hands the 3N moving forward. BMW meanwhile getting killed over here. Flak feeling still around. Now L2 is flying straight towards it. So this time the flak feeling might get the kill. And even if not, the BF-109 will make sure it goes down. The 37mm is too far back to stop the BF-109. D6R6 also has a lot of firepower with 320mm. And the 16-8 is happening. And the Mörser is quite brutal as well, as there is radio around. Overall, we don't see too much artillery in these games, because obviously with only 30 minutes, and artillery being something that pays off over time, there's often the chance that you don't have enough time to make it pay off. But, I mean, the Mörser, every hit here can deal a hell of a lot of damage. Meanwhile, 37mm keeps the BF-109 at bay. BF-109 nearly going down here. Maybe the 50 cal can finish it off? Nah, okay. Like 50 millimeters, or no, 50 cals, the 12.7mm do damage to airplanes, but it's really small amount of damage, so you have to be quite lucky to have it as a finishing blow. Two ISUs really being the one scary thing that stardekk currently has around here for counter push, and Counter push will be needed soon, at least with the first couple of minutes already ticking down for Frubblord. 59 is not as devastating as it has been in some previous games, as even if it will take a while for stardekk to stop the tick, stardekk is not starting from 0 and can maybe catch up still, but you don't want to have it going on for too long, obviously. And especially not in an 18-6, but the 18-6 will stop in a second. Mutual destruction between the SIS-2 and the T-34. And Albauser with the big raid. 67 people joining us for this monthly tournament game here, with 30-minute time limit between stardekk and Frubblord. SIS-2 in the rear. Guardias engaging onto the Pioneers as well. Automachikis unloading. Pioneers will stop the Automachikis. Automachikis forced to fall back. Tiger E is on the battlefield, but the ISU is looking out for some prey to hit. Panzer 3N already being a shy guy, being cowering behind a building, really not wanting to fight these big boys. Having a really good line of sight here though. Like if any vehicle drives in there, can get sniped by that Panzer 3N. A nasty spot actually. Didn't know about that. We'll keep that in mind though for future games, like Frubblord finding a pretty good spot. And here once more the orbital bombardment, 2 1,000 kilogram bombs, nuking something. I think it's the red gas, or maybe it's the Automachikis, I'm not sure. We will see in a second. I guess it's the Automachikis. Yes, both Automachikis here get bombed into oblivion. P2 though, coming in with some good bombs in the south as well. Though they are needed, as Frubblord has started to invest into the south, whilst stardekk's investment here has been minimal since the get-go. Now T-3045 has come up, but there have been way more units now for Frubblord down here than there are for stardekk. And the Guardia DPs coming in from the rear. One ISU has been picked off by a Tiger. So now it's a 1-1 situation here. And stardekk really needs to bring the game back under control with this couple of remaining of good B-phase income ticks. SIS-2 going down. But it seems to be tough. Mercer really starting to do the job. Good target position here to hit with the SIS-2 and the OB. Has radio thanks to the radio leaders as well. Writer leaders that have a radio. OB-25 going down. SIS-2, obviously a direct hit would finish that off as well. Mercer coming in with another shot. And no infantry left outside of one Automachiki down here. They will at least get a Hujarok most likely. Yes, they do. SIS-2 nearly going down here. But heavy reinforcements needed down here. And there's still a Tiger, there's still a Stu, there's still 2 Martyrs. So this doesn't look too hot for Frubblord. L2 bombardment comes in though. Does its job. But the center also is won. After the first misengagement, the Heinkel 111 really was the saving grace for the central engagement here for Frubblord. Tiger E misses the first shot, gives the ISU the chance to get the kill, and this time it takes it. Though Jagdpanzer 3018 number 2 is around. That one obviously doesn't want to get hit by the ISU at all either though. So maybe wants to disengage. ISU gets the shot off, gets the kill number 2. One shot, one opportunity. ME410 though comes around with the finishing blow onto the ISU. Panzer 3N runs into the next ISU though. And now there's no tanks left in the north, but stardekk needs to be really quick now with a counter push. Only 10 minutes remaining. Frubblord was on an 18-6 for a minute, and stardekk still also needs to either clean the center or the south, and that will be a tough job to do. Counter push in the north needs to come, and then either clean the south or clean the center. And I'm not quite sure how to do that, but there's still some time left. 11 minutes, and as I said, the slight take on Frubblord is at least a slight window of opportunity that stardekk has about some other games we have casted with the time limit so far. But it will not be easy at all. Like, this is still a super tough thing to do. Stu goes down to the T-3045 though. First couple of good engagements maybe coming in. SIS-2 hasn't been revealed by the Stu. Stu number 2 goes down. Maybe Frubblord being a bit overeager here. I mean, advantage is there. Marius getting the kill though onto the T-3045. And that's pretty brutal. That T-35 was a key unit down here. And stardekk surrenders this game, not seeing the chance of coming back in time. And I can't see the point. And yeah, Frubblord also ahead in the trades in the end. GGVP here to Frubblord in game number 1. But stardekk not without chances, I would say. Like, especially the first engagement in the center looked good, but Frubblord coming in with the safety bombardment. This Heinkel 111 wiping out 4 infantry squadrons was super key. And yeah, a couple of different engagements there. Maybe with some T-45s, a bit better micro on the tanks. And stardekk would have had the chance there. I liked the second guards on this deck as well. On this map as well. And yeah, let's see what game number 2 brings when Frubblord has to play the allies and stardekk has to play the Axis. 30-minute time limit, so it will for sure be a smooth run. And let's see where we go. See you all in 3 minutes in game number 2. Don't run away. And yeah, once more, Elbowser, thanks for the raid. Okay, so here we go. Game number 2, Frubblord versus stardekk. And stardekk brings around a cool division, which is pretty good. That's 26 Panzer division. And on the other side, Frubblord brings a division that hasn't been good for a while, but got buffed a bit lately on Ciano in form of 3rd Canadian. Their Stormtroopers are cheaper. And the Kangaroos only are 10 points, and the Kangaroos also got the buff on ammo on the 50 cal. So they're pretty worthwhile bringing now. So let's see if Frubblord can make it work. I feel like Frubblord has the better side on this map. The flags in the north for blue side are a bit rough, so let's see what stardekk can do about it. But stardekk should have the better 2000 meter range HE and AP. Yes, you have priest TDs, and you have 17 pounders, and you have some fireflies as 3rd Canadian. But Panthers, Grilla, the Flagbus with the 88mm, the Italian Stuck M43, and so on should give you better 2000 meter support for 26 if you use it correctly. And also, Panzer Grenadiers now have more ammo again, and the half-tracks only cost 5 points, so using half-tracks now is quite worthwhile again. I'm not sure if it's the best idea to bring them in the north, because here you want to cover this open ground relatively quickly, otherwise AT guns can be pretty nasty. But we'll see if this works out, and what the plan here for stardekk will be. Has a SDKFZ 251/10 as well, with this little cute 37mm pack on top. In the south, not as many units around, whilst Frubblord is obviously looking to use the terror ranking where you don't have to have 2000 meter range engagements to have some good trades. So brings around a lot of stormtroopers right out of Star Wars and some assault pioneers and some stack hounds in the south for some quick movement into the enemy down here most likely. So we'll see if the Stoßtruppe Rattler, which is a good unit, Panzer 3, also good unit, and Co can hold this down here. Yeah, 26 for sure, not a bad division at all. So let's see. But yeah, Stuck M43 up here, coming around. And it got removed again. Okay, I guess it's not coming around. It's a bit of a meme unit. I'm not sure it's worthwhile bringing. Like, yes, it's unique to the deck, and that's all cool and fancy, but I feel like you don't have enough anti-tank slots to really allow for it. Though in a 30-minute game, you don't have to be slot efficient, so for this specific tournament, it might actually be fine. As some utility. Like, the unit itself isn't bad, it's just that you only get 1 per card, and that might be a bit problematic. But here we go. Stuart 5, 3 steadies, and a couple of vicars in the north. Not too many forces, so stardekk could be able to break through there. But the question is, can stardekk at the same time also handle the counter push of Frubblord in the south, or will Frubblord be able to get some good movement in here. Both sides with Vanguard this time. It's a matchup that we haven't seen in a long time, but obviously both the nerf to Maverick and balanced, and the rules of the tournament make this more viable. So pretty cool to see it. Let's see how it plays out. And yeah, here we go. Couple of fast units already moving in here. Panther will follow them. It's an Aufklärungspanther nonetheless, so it's also able to spot something firing at it on its own. Stuck M42 here, also a good unit to hold the line. It's a pretty amazing unit for 40 points. 1750 meter range, so it outranges Shermans and Panthers. 10 hit points, an amazing rate of fire, and actually an AP and a heat shell that can penetrate medium tanks and can deal with any light tanks whatsoever with its 85mm penetration. And so far not the worst traits, but the units of Frubblord still outnumber stardekk quite heavily down here. More of them coming in, so reinforcements are for sure needed to hold the line. But the fighting retreat here of stardekk not going too badly, and heavy push coming up onto this position in the north, and Frubblord might not be in position for that. 1410 here for Frubblord so far. Stuck from the rear. Has a solid HE shell as well, though you don't have the most of them. You only get 10 of them. And with 12 rounds per minute, that's obviously not even a single minute of continuous firing. So you need to be careful as you run out of those pretty quickly. And you don't have a hull MG, which is maybe the biggest disadvantage of that tank. So HE firepower is somewhat limited. Stuart, Priest TD gets the shot on some units over here, but Panther is coming up, so Stuart and the Priest have to be careful, as the Panther for sure can deal with both of them pretty easily, and even the heat shell of the Priest TD is not quite enough to deal with it. Panther gets a penetration, Priest TD stays alive for now though, and Frubblord on the 1410 with these two flags, but stack counts now get outclassed by the Panzer 3L and also side-shotted by this 37mm puck. So stack count has to disengage, giving stardekk a bit of room to move in here again with some infantry. Panzer 3L overall an amazing unit, also really cost efficient. Like maybe one of the biggest strengths of this deck in general, that it has both of the best 40-point tanks. Like 40 points, nearly still light tank territory, but both of these have 10 hit points and good penetration powers. Panzer 3L even more so than the Stuck, though Stuck has the better range and the better rate of fire. So there's an argument to be made for either of these being the best 40-point tank, or like light tank territory tank. But having both is even better. 17-pounder is around. Panzer Grenadiers disengage in half-track. I would have said unload the Panzer Grenadiers maybe here, and then move the half-track back on its own. But yeah, mortar for sure, good idea. Can deal with the 70-pounder. Stack count gets the count to the half-track with Panzer Grenadiers still inside, so that's quite a big loss. And as another 17-pounder comes around over here, Stuart and has been dealt with. Priest TD was able to retreat though. Skrilla gets the count to the 70-pounder, but now there's only the Pak 36 unit left here, so the Stuarts can come around and try to get some kills again. 6-pounder maybe shouldn't move forward just yet though. Joe Scrupper with Beretta can deal with that. And Grilla actually gets the kill on the Priest TD. And the... wow! The SDK of that gets the kill on both Stuarts. I was wrong there, I guess. Wow, okay, that thing actually was a murder machine there. Being really good trade there for stardekk. So stardekk still holding rounds down here. I would say the trades down here pretty even, and the trade here was pretty good right now though. Not for free. Like Frubblord getting the Panther, getting a couple of infantry units as well, getting a couple of half-tracks. It's for sure not over for Frubblord either, but stardekk, I would say, in the slightly better spot with still the vantage point over here. Question is, can Frubblord come still through here and then maybe cut off the reinforcements down here? Like, still need to keep up the caution as stardekk here. React to anything coming up. Good disengagement here with the 17-pounder for Frubblord, not getting killed by the mortar. Whilst two more Panzer 3Ls come around over here, and the Stuarts trade horribly against those. As you can see, 70 penetration versus 70 frontal armor. You need to have some luck to get the penetration through, whilst the Panzer 3L for sure penetrates against you as a Stuart, and the rate of fire is also the same. So Panzer 3L really having the advantage there, for only 10 points more, outclassing the Stuart completely. Panzer Grenadiers moving up as well. Meanwhile, Sherman DD pushing in the south, and the Panzer 3L in this engagement slightly outclassed, though it still has the chance of getting a kill with the APCR shells, with a crit with the APCRs, and then following that up later on. But the push with the Sherman and the rifle Piats is pretty strong here for Frubblord. Stardekk now on the 1311 though. Mortar half-tracks coming in with some good shots. Not quite getting the hit though. And Panzer 3L goes down to the Sherman. Counter push with the Pioneers coming in over here. Whilst single Stuart already went down again here. We have another Stuk M42 around. We have the Panzer 3 coming up. But first Kangaroos hit the battlefield as well. Having some field engineers loaded. Surrendering some Stormtroop Berettas there that couldn't do anything against units with armor. Wolverine, also a solid unit to bring in here for these engagements, using the 1750 meter range. They can maybe snipe the Panzer 3L, though they could lose against the Stuk. You have to be careful. Stuk with 85mm heat shells has a chance of one-shotting those Wolverines. SDKFZ trying to hit the Sherman here, I guess. But Frubblord keeps the units moving. And dodging those artillery shots quite handily. More Panzer 3Ls coming in. But the Sherman really is a problem now. Panzer Shrek trying to rush the stack count. Another Sherman over here. Also quite problematic. Meanwhile though, MG42 engaging onto the 6-pounder. Not the engagement you want. As Frubblord. Wolverine gets the kill onto the Stuk M42 though. So that's good. And Panzer 3Ls have to retreat as the Wolverine can shoot at them from up here without the Panzer 3Ls being able to retaliate. Stuart shifting up to the north to try to deal with this half-track with 20mm cannon. A matchup where Stuarts should usually win. That's the mortar tries to get some more hits in. We have another big artillery piece from Frubblord. Seemingly liking big guns. BL 5.5 inch artillery piece. The 20mm unit here maybe a bit over eager. Sherman DD getting the W there. And this artillery piece can be nasty over time. Half-track here gets killed, and I think it had Panzer Grenadiers inside once more. With too many units in transport being killed off. Frubblord having some nice line of sights on some of those. Meanwhile, on the other hand, not having the same happening to him. Stuart losing out to the Panzer 3Ls, but one Panzer 3L also, I guess, got killed by the Wolverine. So the engagement in the north is still close. Rifle Piats getting engaged by MG42s. A lot of brutal fights here, a lot of maneuvering, a lot of flanking, and thinking about what unit you need now, or like in 2 minutes rather, when they arrive on the front line to deal with the unit that the enemy has brought around. Pak 40 could be good against the Wolverine, has to be careful that it doesn't engage against infantries, because those could pin it down. Meanwhile, Stormtroopers rushing an SDKFZ over here. We'll use the TNT to most likely deal with it. Not quite getting the kill. SDKFZ now disengaging. One Panzer 3L has went down to the Sherman again. Roller coming up, second mortar half-track coming up. First one ran out of ammo, it seems like. And I guess Stardekk hasn't packed a supply truck in A-phase. So the second one has to come around till in 2 minutes the next. Yeah, there comes the supply truck as we are in B-phase now. B-phase supply cart, it seems. Storm Pioneers coming in, Flamethrowers coming in. It's a 12-12, really close game so far. Rope Ramen coming in with some good hits onto the forest. Killing off some infantry. Spitfire trying to retaliate. stardekk trying to move it away, not quick enough though. The Spitfire getting the kill. That's a big blow. A couple of shots with Wolfram for sure can shift the any battle out there. Meanwhile, the artillery of Frubblord still firing, dealing with the MG42s here. Like 40 engaging onto the Kangaroo. Kangaroo gets killed. Wolverine obviously needs to be careful. STD though could be helpful with the Pak 40 if it engages from the correct range. And so can be the big artillery piece down here. 13-11 for stardekk again. Both sides really close. And this is a really good idea. Shooting down with the Gorilla down the road. Hitting units in buildings. Either forcing Frubblord to give this position up. Or over time killing off these infantry units with the AoE damage. Not quite deep enough, but nearly. Kangaroo goes down. That 6-pounder also finding a kill in retaliation, though now also getting shot at by the MG42s. A lot of action here all over the map by both players, and so far pretty good multitasking by both as well. Shifting from one side to the other. As a Grenadiers here, getting pinned down. Like, obviously, sometimes some units got cut out, but mostly they reacted to threats coming up. Kangaroo getting killed off, and it's really a back and forth of finding the answer to the answer to the answer to the answer of what the enemy throws at them. So, pretty impressive game from both players, I would say. Really enjoying my time with this game so far. And yeah, let's see if this makes it all the way over the 30-minute mark, or if one side can achieve a breakthrough eventually. Gorilla for sure doing a good job here. MG42 getting killed off. And yeah, the 140mm now starting to kill off the Pak 40. Panzer 3L now gets killed as well. Wolverine went down. STD still alive though. Pamo coming up. Another one of the small little Stooks joining in as well. But Gorilla nearly dealt with all infantry here. Dealt with all infantry by now. Being a pretty effective tool there. Supply half-track should maybe move up to help it out with some more shots. Mortar half-tracks coming in on the south now. But actually, the Sherman here has been dealt with. 6-pounder anti-tank gun here as well. Only AT is around here at the moment. Stack hounds and the 17-pounder and one Sherman DD. But also not much armor around for stardekk. Only one Panzer 3L and some half-tracks. Another Sherman DD being called in the south. And the Firefly hitting the battlefield as well. Pamo finding some hits onto the rifles over here. Stewards coming in with some push. Panzer Grenadier will maybe get overrun. This is a really good game. God damn it. The action-packed matchups we get with this time limit are pretty entertaining, not gonna lie. Gorilla disengaging. Mortar half-tracks trying to help out afterwards. Spitfire though, abusing the lack of AA so far. But Famo is around in the north, so it won't be as easy for the Spitfire in the north anymore. And the Gorilla will get resupplied, and then it will come back and just keep on doing what it does, unless it gets interrupted by a Firefly. Yes, that is the idea behind the Firefly there, as it has 2000 meter range, so it can go toe-to-toe with the Gorilla in that aspect. And the Gorilla obviously not quite having the penetration power to do that much damage to the Firefly. Obviously a direct hit of the Gorilla still will do some damage, but you will need 3 or 4 good hits to kill the Firefly, whilst the Firefly only needs 1 or 2 good hits to kill you. Panzer 3L gets the driver kill, but not a crew kill on the Sherman. Sherman will retaliate in a second. And the next shot is with AP. stardekk actually tried to circle, but the circle system doesn't work anymore. So yeah, don't do that anymore. That abuse has been fixed by Eugen. Just stay at APCR at this range. And yeah, driver kill. If the mortars would have aimed earlier, could have been abused by the mortars, but now the Sherman will be able to move out of this again. And it looks like Frubblord is getting the better out of the fight in the south. And also slowly winning the north, which is a bit rough here for stardekk right now. So far, really good game though. And maybe stardekk can bring it back, but with 15 minutes round and the 59. Obviously, time will be closing in quickly now for stardekk to get a shift here. Stuk M42 engaging the rifle Piats. MG42 gets out over here. Not that many forces here for Frubblord, really. Needs to be careful to not be too aggressive once more. And maybe exhausting all the forces and then get overrun in the north. As there's a lot of flags here. Like there's 5 flags can be taken up here. It can easily compensate for the couple of flags lost in the south by stardekk. And stardekk needs to bring an infantry in here. Does so now. Mortars really not that effective. The aim on those could be better. But it's also down to Frubblord dodging a lot of them. Like, yes, it's stardekk also maybe not choosing the right targets. Like, a couple of them have been aimed on positions where there was nothing in the first place. But also, Frubblord really active with the infantry around. Always dodging any shot. And the 17-pounder is still in position as well. Bloody brutal for stardekk there, that 17-pounder. Keeps on killing off some of the incoming units time and again. Aiming onto the Grilla now, I guess. Grilla will at least try to kill it off, but doesn't get the shot off, and the 17-pounder gets the kill onto the Grilla. Rifles also overrunning the position here now. And this looks really rough now here for stardekk. 59, but gets overrun basically everywhere. Panzer not able to help out these Panzer Grenadiers right now. Ammo not coming around. Maybe a counterattack now in the north. But there's still the infantry left. And more reinforcements will come in for Frubblord. SD2 goes down here as well. Mortars try their best to try to deal with the rifles over here. But there's really little left down here in the south now. So the push needs to come in the north. The question is, can it be done? Or can Frubblord keep the units away in the north for long enough? By now has taken down stardekk a good amount. So 59 most likely would be needed by stardekk to turn this around. And that will be hard to achieve. Like, these flags for sure need to be retaken, and then all these flags as well in the north, I think. And the 6-pounder here seems to get another good kill. That most likely not able to pin it down in time either. So Panzer Grenadiers now engaging in the forest, not where they want to engage. Rifle Piats can use their Bren guns in the forest. Panzer Grenadiers can't use their MG42s, or MG34s in this case, in the forest. So Rifle Piats actually out DPS Panzer Grenadiers there. And they will go down. Field Engineers are an even worse partner to try to kill off, as the Field Engineers TNT, yeah, blows off the Panzer Grenadiers there. And this looks like a bit of a desperation push here by stardekk. It's not really working out, and yeah, it seems like Frubblord will take game number 2 as well. But the first 10 minutes here were super exciting. Really good gameplay out of both players. And yeah, Frubblord just a slight bit better, slight bit more efficient. Always a head faster on the micro, I guess. And getting another SD2 here kills with the Priest TD and really solidifying the advantage here now. I don't think there's much hope, especially as Frubblord also now has a big artillery barrage set up in the rear. 140mm, 225mm, constantly shooting at stardekk's formation now as well. Grilla, the first Grilla did a really good job, but it just ain't enough right now. 16-8 around 19 minutes and 30 seconds have been taken down. Stuk goes down in the north as well. Yeah, it's going from bad to worse right now here for stardekk. And it's not enough forces in the north to really make a big breakthrough happen there anymore either. Like, maybe a slow push can be done here, but that is not good enough at the moment anymore. Not with 10 minutes on the clock and being so far behind in points. And in flex still as well. Stardekk is at the moment. Grilla hitting the own Storm Pioneers there. Was left on fire on position for a bit too long. And the 140mm with a direct hit on these Storm Pioneers. Mortars trying to hit the rifles down here. Grilla goes down as well. Tries to hit the rifle leaders over here. As the Firefly comes around. Try to get a kill on the Panzer Grenadiers. will get the kill. Will get the kill. Once the artillery constantly shooting from the rear as well. Sniper scouts will come in as well. Firefly moving through. SDK's at 250/9. In engagements against some rifles. Rifles dropping like flies, but this game is next to over. There's just too many units by now for the red side, with too little time remaining for stardekk. Turn around, rifles get bombed at least. No AA on the ground for Frubblord. Fuckable fighter bombers maybe could have come around a bit earlier, but yeah, stardekk surrendering here, realizing as well that time was running out, and Frubblord also had the advantage when it came to a KD. But really impressive early game by stardekk against a in shape Frubblord here, or pretty much in shape Frubblord. Like really good games from Frubblord in game 1 and game 2. A couple of slip ups that stardekk really tried to punish, but overall really clean games. Exciting game number 2 here. Both sides with nice plays, nice counter against the counter, and yeah, Frubblord just with a slightly better positioning and getting the W in the end in an exciting series. GGVP to both players. And yeah, my voice is starting to crack, so that was the last cast for today. Yeah, now we will have to switch over to something else. And I'm not sure if playing Steel Division is the right thing right now. I think we will do Cards or War Thunder, so I will leave you a vote what of those 2 games we shall play. If you were here for Steel Division, thanks for joining, but yeah, I hope you will stay with me. And yeah, if you haven't followed yet for Steel Division, consider following now, because the next couple of weeks will be awesome. With League Season 8 coming around, a lot of content will be dropping for Steel Division on this channel, obviously, with all those games coming around. And yeah, that 17-pounder did an amazing work. That was pretty brutal. Like, was great position. Microing against the mortar also was putting stardekk under a lot of pressure. Maybe the MVP, yeah, most likely the MVP of this game. On the other side, stardekk with good spread out kills. The Griller obviously doing pretty well. But yeah, in the end, Frubblord taking the W here.